All right, hello. Monday. I'm glad I got back in time on a Monday. But hello, everyone. David, welcome. I guess I should. Hello. What? Nope, clicked the wrong thing. All right, let's try that again. Hello. Took me a minute, but here we are. David, welcome. Hope you're doing well. Hope you enjoyed the races this weekend. Bristol, triple header, fun weekend. Pastel Ninja K, hello. But yeah, fun weekend. I enjoyed it. As always, Daniel Berry Sports Highlights, hello. Always an honor to be at the track, or to cover a race, I would say. Always fun to be at the track, but to cover a race to get the access is always an honor. So, great weekend. I know I didn't have a lot of video stuff to post, but I did some written work on Go Full Throttle. I've been doing that recently, so you can go check that out. But yeah, as I said, always an honor to cover a race at the track. But I'm curious to hear what everyone's thoughts are on the race. I haven't really watched the highlights. I haven't really watched the race like on full blown TV or rewatched it on TV. So I'm curious what everyone's thoughts are. But Sunday's race was chaotic, man, and like in a good way. We learned very quickly that the tire was doing what it did in the spring of 24, because Allmendinger led those first 25 or so. I think it was 24 to be exact. Let's see, where did he finish? Down here, I think. Yeah, he leads the first 24 laps. And then as soon as he lost the lead, it's when the tire started to cord. And so he loses the lead, but it was like the top five were all within like a couple of seconds. They were all lined up. So I just assumed it was like Allmendinger lost the bottom and he's just getting ran over, kind of like Martinsville, where if you don't have the bottom, you just get passed and passed and passed. But then all of a sudden, he keeps tanking. And then I think Austin Dillon was the first car to really pit. And that's when it was like, oh my God, like, are we getting a crazy tire race? Then we got the crazy tire race. So, no, that race was thrilling. There was never a dull second of that race, which I loved. I know some people like to say, oh, that's too extreme of tire wear, and you're allowed to have that opinion, but I thought that was an awesome race. It was epic. Hello, George, in vacation in Maine. Maine is ME, right? I think. Pastel Ninja Case's best race of the year. Just wish we had less cautions and more long runs. Micah says, what a race that was. Gave me mid-2000s on back Bristol, my favorite Bristol. Yeah, as for race of the year, it's got to be top five, I would say. I think the top five contenders, and I'm going to list more than five because they're contending for the top five. Michigan, Charlotte, Bristol, the fall race. What else was a great race this year? Atlanta, the summer Atlanta race. I got to go through the schedule here. I know I'm missing some. So I would say in that category of, okay, so Coda, that's in that category. Charlotte, Michigan, Atlanta, summer, Bristol, obviously. Yeah. So I guess that's five, unless I missed some. So yeah. TP says, I'm a fan of Bristol now. My favorite. Hey, there you go, Bristol. And the thing that's mind blowing is that for the last four Bristol races, we have not known what was going to happen. No one anticipated the first time this happened back in the spring of 24. Nobody knew that was coming. Then we went back to Bristol in the fall, and everyone's like, is it going to happen again? Is it going to happen again? It's the same tire. And then it didn't happen. Nothing happened. The tires did nothing that race. Larson leads 430, 40 of 500 laps. And then the next time we're at Bristol in the spring, we're like, oh, it's the spring race again. Maybe it's the sun or something, or I don't know, whatever it is. Nothing happens again. And then we get to the fall Bristol and we're like, maybe it's the temperature. Maybe it's the PJ1. I don't know. we don't know what's going to happen. We think it's going to be a boring race because practice was boring, and then what? We get the chaotic tire race. And back in the spring, it was the opposite. We got the crazy tire fall off cording in 40 or 50 laps. We got that in practice, but then in the race, we got the boring, no passing, no tire fall off kind of thing. Well, this race this weekend, we got the no tire fall off, boring practice where nothing happened. Then in the race, we got the 50 lap shredded tires. Like, just absolutely insane how the smallest little condition change apparently can just flip over the tire. It's either hard as a rock or it just shreds like a paper shredder. It's crazy. If Micah says if NASCAR listens to the ones complaining about too much tire wear, the next race will be a snoozer and people will be complaining. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, dude, us NASCAR fans love complaining. I just don't understand the complaint about this weekend's race. Like, are you really going to go back, rewatch that spring Bristol race and say, I want that again? Or something close to that? No, that was maybe the worst race of the year. Nothing happened. There was one caution for cause, I think. Alex Bowman had a mechanical failure. That's literally all I remember from that race. I don't remember a single battle for the lead. I don't remember a restart. I don't remember anything that happened in the spring race. That was a terrible race. But the fall race was an elite race. It was a great race. One of the best races we've had at Bristol, maybe the best race in the next-gen car. And the second best or best Bristol race was that spring 2024 race where we had this exact same situation. It's mind-blowing. Truly. Joe Gibbs Racing sweeps the first round. Briscoe wins Darlington. Hamlin wins St. Louis, Gateway, Worldwide, whatever. And then we got Bell winning at Bristol. I mean, JGR really starting off the playoffs on a hot streak. But obviously, ultimately comes down to Phoenix. If you don't win Phoenix, you don't win the championship. Apparently Bristol's a weather-dependent track. It's just the most bizarre thing. Denver, welcome. Hello. Yeah, I saw that there was a report or rumor or something that Zilich could be going to Adelaide. That'd be really, really cool. Like I said with the Cindric thing, I'm going to wait till that actually finalizes because after the Larson and Busch thing, I don't want to get my hopes up too much. Okay, so Pastel Ninja K brings up a great point. Kudos to Goodyear and Tennessee Weather for bailing out the next gen. So this is the next topic of discussion. So I hate to be negative. I'm being negative here. So we have this great race. We have this insane Bristol race. The tires are just shredding. It's making everything interesting. People can finally pass. Like, how long can you manage your tires? We get a little bit of strategy in there too. But my fear is that NASCAR is relying too heavily on Goodyear to fix the overall problems with the car. Like, every time there's a bad race, it doesn't matter where it is. If it's a super speedway, if it's a short track, even at times intermediates, people find a way to find excuses. I don't really see it there. But wherever it may be, Bristol, Martinsville, Dover, Talladega, as I said, wherever it may be, people are always like, the car sucks, blah, blah, blah. Well, then we finally get these great races and no one's saying the car is great. It's usually a big Goodyear thing that has been saving the races. When we look at Coda earlier this year, why that was such a great race is because they brought a softer tire, a tire that could fade, and that's why we saw Christopher Bell, William Byron, Tyler Reddick able to chase down Kyle Busch and 4 guys fighting for the win. So, and then Bristol, obviously, when Bristol has a tire that doesn't wear, it's awful. It's horrible. It's like the worst racing at Bristol we've ever seen. But when the tire falls off like it does and it just shreds, it's some of the best racing we've seen at Bristol. It's like reminiscent of the good old days, like Micah said. So I feel like we're relying too heavily on Goodyear, because what happens if we keep on getting this question mark on the weather? Like, let's say next spring there's a heat wave in April and it's 72 degrees during the Bristol spring race. Well, then the tire's not going to fall off. So um, I just feel like we're relying too much on Goodyear because we've seen now two fantastic all-time races where the tires fall off. There's chaos. You don't know what's happening, but it's not like a wreck fest. But then we have two other Bristol examples in the exact same car where the tire doesn't fall off and you can't do anything. So, once again, I'm sorry to be negative here, but I just wanted to bring up the point. Like, are we leaning too heavily on Goodyear? Because, I mean, Goodyear did a great job this weekend. They've been doing a great job, honestly, all year long. As I said, with Coda, Martinsville last fall was a fantastic race because the tires fell off. Like, Goodyear has done a great job with this next-gen tire. Next-gen car is a completely different situation, though. So, let's see here. Yeah, TP, you got to give it to all the drivers. I mean, that race was, as you said, it was epic. So, for the drivers to put on that show, for them to manage the tires, and we saw some chaos. Like, okay, so here's the thing: from where I was sitting, there was always something happening. I'm not talking necessarily passing. Like when a guy was on old tires, it was like Martinsville or old Bristol, where if you were in the way on old tires, you were getting bumped out of the way. And sometimes, like I can't remember when in the race it was. I think it was like Custer was on old tires. Gregson tried to go around the outside to make it 3 wide. Whoever was on the inside bumps Custer up into Gregson, and they all kind of scatter, but no one wrecked. But it was like a moment of like, this could be something. Like in terms of passing, it's something, but in terms of a wreck, it could be something. But it was still thrilling to watch, and that's just one small example. We had like 20 instances of that the entire night because that's what the story of the race was. The tires falling off, people pitting on, 3 laps made a huge difference. So it was insane, just truly insane. Yeah, I have not listened to the podcast yet. Usually when I'm driving home, I listen to them, but they weren't all out yet. So unfortunately, I have not heard the Denny Hamlin podcast yet. No, that ending was crazy too because Brad, so they're both on newer tires. I think Bell was on 2 and Brad was on 4. Correct me if I'm wrong. And Brad Keselowski has this huge run. Like he makes a great last couple of laps. Bell misses 1 and 2 on the last lap and Brad has a run. So he sends it down in there to try to bump and run him or maybe even dump and run him. Nothing. Bell moved up like a lane and a half. Like nothing. Like he didn't spin, he didn't drift, he didn't even wiggle. He just kind of washed up the track a little bit, came back down, took the checkered flag, and Brad did the same thing. So that's what was so weird too, because as I just referenced, like bump and runs were happening all night long. Like you could bump someone out of the way, but that was like the one instance that I can remember where it didn't work. So it was just really weird. Yeah, Pastel Ninja K, I'm with you. I like a full season format. Getting away from the one race championship is better, but a 3-3-4, that big problem, as you said, would be Talladega deciding a champion in a 4-race shootout. No, that's still a no for me. It's better, but it's still a no. It's too random. No. Born Again Briar, hello, welcome. I can't do top 10, but we kind of talked about it earlier. We said this Bristol race was up there in terms of the top 5 races of the year. We said Coda in the spring, or I said Coda in the spring. Michigan, the summer race, that was a great race. The Atlanta summer race was a great race, and the Coke 600. I think that was my top 5, maybe. That's in no order, by the way. But yeah. Felipe, I hope you had a good time at Bristol. It's a great race. I thought it did. Or I thought it was, I should specify. Yeah, okay, so when we look at Ty Gibbs, I mean, what a bizarre moment for him. So Ty Gibbs, if you remember, back in that crazy 2024 spring Bristol race where we had this exact situation, Ty Gibbs led a bunch of laps in that race. I think he led like 132 laps. That number could be wrong, but it was north of 100, I know for sure. Ty Gibbs sweeps the stages in that race. He leads 100 and something laps. Looks like he's going to have a great shot at the first win. But I think in that last run, if I remember correctly, he just burned the tires too quickly and he ends up finishing 9th or 10th. Well, this one, he managed the tires better. He was in position to win. He leads 201 laps, scores 19 stage points, including a stage win. And what happens? He misses pit road. Like, Ty Gibbs at Bristol has been fantastic. He's now had 3 races in which he's led 100 or more laps there. As I said, he's led laps, he's won stages. Bristol seems like it's a very great possibility for him to win that first race. Ultimately, he doesn't care where it is. A first win's a first win, but I mean, what a heartbreaking way to lose it. Just to miss pit road or cut a tire or the tire goes down right before you get to pit road, whatever the issue was. Yeah, that sucked for him, but top 10 still great. And leading that many laps is fantastic. They needed some momentum. Missing the playoffs was a huge blow for that team, huge blow for Joe Gibbs Racing. But for him to win a stage, to lead the most laps, I think he led the most laps in the race. He had to have. Lead the most laps in the race, that's a huge step forward if you ask me. So hopefully they can take that and they can, maybe get that first win this year. JGR is so good at Kansas. Maybe it's Kansas. Looking down the road, I mean, he's had some good runs at Vegas before. You never know. The randomness of a super speedway. He's a decent road racer. Like, he could get it this year. I mean, obviously, I think we're all going to probably guess next year just because everyone's going to pick playoff drivers to win this year. But as I said, you never know. And with how well Joe Gibbs Racing is executing in the playoffs so far, hey. Micah says, I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but I have an idea. After the first 5 races of the playoffs, eliminate 8 drivers in the rest of the playoffs. The remaining 8 drivers battle for the championship. I would need more details. Like, are playoff points still a thing? Like, is there some sort of win and you advance? Because then that kind of gets a little iffy. Because, like, we could have a Charlotte, if Charlotte's in the first 5 races and SVG's in there, then SVG's in the Elite 8. So, like, that gets more complicated. So that's a great question. I don't know if Gabe Hart is still on the pit box because they interviewed Tyler Allen during the race on Sunday or Saturday, whatever day it was. So, I don't know. Maybe, possibly. So someone mentioned Bowman earlier, so let's go to the standings. So when we come over to the standings, obviously, we're down to our round of 12. Our 12 drivers competing for a championship. Here's your new cutoff. Can you see it? Can you see it? You can't see the points. All right, everyone sees the drivers, right? You see the drivers. Oh, in fact, here's what I'm going to do. You don't need to see me. Everyone going to look at the new playoff bracket. All right. So obviously this means that Alex Bowman, Shane Van Gisbergen, Austin Dillon, and Josh Berry missed. Josh Berry, oh my goodness. Through no fault of his own, well, maybe I guess you could argue Darlington, but the other 2 races, through no fault of his own, had the worst round in playoff history. Finished dead last every single race in the round of 16. Like, talk about the worst possible time to have the worst 3-race stretch of your career. As I said, some of that was out of his control. He did not plan on setting his car on fire at Bristol. He did not plan on getting wiped out by Chase Elliott at Gateway. I'm looking for my bracket. I got to make my X's on my bracket. It's somewhere in here. Give me a second. Kind of a mess currently. Well, oh, there it is. Okay. All right. Time to make some X's and checks on my bracket. Speaking of, if you remind me, I'll make my bracket league. We'll look at the bracket league standings. It's a bunch of ties right now. I already looked at it, but I guess if you want to look at it. So everyone's looked at the points at this point. So here we go. I'm going to go through my bracket right here. First up, I already put the check marks for Hamlin and Briscoe advancing. Larson, I had Larson in there. That's a good start. Blaney, that's another check mark. Byron, Bell, Elliott, Bubba, Cindric, Logano, right? Oh, no. Oh, no. Not only did I have Alex Bowman in the round of 12, I had Bowman in the round of 8 because I had him winning Kansas. Whoops. With that, so hold on. You see it? So my terrible bracket has 2 big X's in it, or cross marks, or lines, whatever you want to call it. There's my terrible bracket. How's everyone's bracket doing? Let's do this right now. Okay. Bracket challenge. Okay. So. League. How do we get to the leagues? Leagues. All right. So we got the bracket league. Fantastic Priest is the only one who had a perfect first round. Wow. A bunch of us had one off. We only missed one in the first round. Looks like how many of us? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wait, no, 7. There were 7 of us. And then we got a bunch of people who missed 2. And then we got someone who missed 3. And then we got... Why are they not listed up here? I don't know. That's weird. That's bizarre. 30 members in our league, so that's exciting. Yeah, Bowman kind of messed me up there. I don't know where everyone else stands, but... All right, now let's talk about fantasy. I already looked up the results for this, and boy, am I happy because... Let's go. I actually won a fantasy race. This has been the year of disaster for me, and I won a race. And not only did I win a race, I got out of that dreaded 14th place in the points. 13th in the points. Nope. No, Jamie, I am not. I am 13th in the point. Boom. Anyways, let's look at these race results. Winner. I'll take it. Let's go. RT Racing, Dunkin' Donuts, that's the podium. Fantastic Priest with the top 5. Aussie Matt Nee, Micah MLB 15, Klaus Van Gissenbergen, expat _ Kiwi _ Mike _ Wallace, 0 Apex is the top 10. I don't think any of us anticipated such a wild Bristol race. I don't think a lot of people had Zane Smith in their lineups. I'm sure a few had Hocevar, but I don't think they expected this much. I'm sure a good chunk of people had Blaney and Gibbs even maybe because Gibbs is so good at Bristol. Brad's kind of a wild card. Bell, obviously, that ended up being a good one. But, yeah, so when we come over here to the league standings, Dunkin' Donuts extending the lead, I think. I forgot what the tally was last week. Zerkman95 is in third. Expat _ Kiwi _ Mike _ Wallace is up there in the 4th position. Our defending champ, Dan the Jets fan, in 5th. Then we got RT Racing, Aussie Matt, Fantastic Priest, Matt Smith 53, Tyler Hernandez 6, Micah MLB 15, 0 Apex. I'm not in 14th anymore. Yes. Hell on Wheels 24, Crackler, Oscar Dave, Dr. Zero, Jamie, who is the lifelong Logano fan, David Jerry 24 fan, Nee, Sportswagon, Supercar Nut, Tritech, Space Wrangler Racing, JTF 526, Prim XL. Is that a new one? I think that's a new one. That looks like a new one. Or the name was changed or something. Rebutted, Connor W. And then a bunch of people who have not filled out their entries. That's a bigger number than it was last time. Someone did join. Welcome, whoever you are. Welcome. But yes, there we go. All right, cool. Do we want to talk about Xfinity and trucks? I guess I should catch up on this. Pastel Ninja K, remember in 2022, the first year of the next gen car, the Fords, they always had that issue with, I don't know if it was a brake rotor or something, in the front of the car on the passenger side would always catch on fire. And it happened like twice or three times in the first round of the playoffs. Because I remember Kevin Harvick in the 2022 Southern 500, he went on that rant about the cars, I think, because his caught on fire when he was like running in the top 5 and he had to get out. It was some sort of box. I don't remember what it was, though. But yeah, I feel like it is the Fords. Yeah, so Kevin Harvick did catch on fire in the 2022 Southern 500. Let's see what this J-Ski article says. Yeah, so Harvick said, quote, "I'm sure it's just crappy parts on the race car like we've seen so many times. They haven't fixed anything. It's kind of like the safety stuff. We just let it keep going and keep going. The car started burning, and as it burned, the flames started coming through the dash. I ran a couple laps, and then as the flame got bigger, it started burning stuff up. And I think right there you see all the brake fluid, and that was probably coming out of the brakes and part of the brake line. But the fire was coming through the dash. What a disaster for no reason. We didn't touch the wall. We didn't touch a car, and here we are in the pits with a burned up race car, and we can't finish the race during the playoffs because of crappy ass parts." End quote. The rocker. Harvick said it was the rocker. I don't know what the rocker is. I'm not a car expert, guys. I'm sorry. I can name a few parts, but I can't name every single one of them. I'm not that in tune with it. Yep, Pastel Ninja K. I think that was me, maybe. So, wrong. League. Yeah, I still had Denny in there, and then I had Elliott on the bench. I subbed him out last minute for Blaney, I think. I had Larson and Hamlin in there and still won. That's even crazier. Wow. Also the picks, okay? That went wrong apparently. That went right. That went wrong. That went right. Okay, well, what a bizarre week of fantasy. Just what an odd week of fantasy. Truly. So Xfinity, what? Let me think about Xfinity. So Zilich led a bunch of laps again. Led 98. I'm sorry, I'm looking at something shiny. So Xfinity, so Almirola. Okay, so here is my biggest thing with Xfinity, my biggest note. Look, I'm all against team orders. I think team orders are dumb. But man, if Sam Mayer just if he just one lap earlier let Sheldon Creed by. maybe not even just let him by. I'm not saying pull over, but, maybe doesn't race him as hard on exit. Doesn't go side by side with him on 2 to go. And just let Sheldon Creed go. Sheldon Creed is probably going to make contact with Almirola to try to win this race. Could very well take himself in the process. And Sam Mayer, that's your best shot at winning. I don't know. Once again, I'm not a race car driver, so I'm dumb and I don't think like that. Like how Mayer probably thought. But man, if Sheldon Creed, I guess if I want to simplify it, if Sheldon Creed could have gotten by Sam Mayer 1 lap earlier, that last lap could have got really, how do I phrase this? Wrecky. Yeah. The contact would have been made. I mean, Sheldon Creed tried really hard to make contact there on that last lap in 3 and 4, but not quite. He threw it down in there, as I said, but ultimately fell short, and for like the 500th time in his career, Sheldon Creed finishes second. Man. But yeah, a non-playoff driver wins the playoff opener. I know the 19 is in the Owners' Championship, so that's still a big deal for them, but in terms of their standings, I mean, so let's do some bubble breakdowns now. So Connor Zilic is like, he's into the next round. He's not mathematically clinched, but he can mathematically clinch at Kansas. Justin Allgaier, he's pretty safe, unless they have a disaster 2 races. Sam Mayer's feeling pretty good. Carson Kvapil, that's a decent gap, but there's 2 races to go. A lot can go wrong. This can all be made up in a single stage, and there's 2 races to go. Same for these 2. Austin Hill's got time to make up. And then Sammy Smith, technically he's got time to make up, but getting a little close to that must-win territory. Then if we go to the trucks, oh my goodness, what a shocker for when we get to the bottom of the grid. Okay, so we got 2 locked in with Hyman Riggs. 1 race to go, and it's going to be at New Hampshire. Hemrick and Majeski are feeling really, really good. Enfinger and Ankrum just need decent days. They don't even need solid days. Honeycutt and Carruth just need to honestly just hold serve. You just hope that one of these 2 doesn't win. But that's where it gets interesting, because Chandler Smith, honestly, in my opinion, could very well go out and win at New Hampshire. Remember Chandler Smith. His wins this year have come on short tracks. New Hampshire, very similar to a short track. If he wins, that makes this the fight for the cutoff spot. And that's where it could get interesting. So, yeah. Cash.gg, hello. Congratulations to you and your fiance. I guess we could look at the Cup playoff bubble here. I mean, I know the second round hasn't started, but with the playoff points and everything. So Hamlin, Byron, Larson, and Bell are all 20 or more. But no, still, we kind of talked about this before the playoffs. But this year, there's been no one guy who's like really just broke away with all these points. Like in Xfinity and Trucks, where we have Heim with like 70-something. Zilic has 60-something. We don't have that in Cup this year. We've had it in the past. Truex when he had those 70 or 80-something points in 2017. Larson when he had his 60-something in 2021. We've not had that this year. It's been really weird, really bizarre. Hamlin only 26 points above. So everyone's vulnerable to getting eliminated here. Truly. It doesn't matter if you're Bubba +1, if you're Reddick -3, or if you're Hamlin +26. So, yeah, I guess that's that. That's pretty simple. But I am going to very quickly, this will be a quick one, and I also forgot to post it last week, which is a little bit embarrassing, the SVG recap. We're just going to knock that out real quick. Yeah, I'll do my best. I didn't get a chance to rewatch. Actually, I'm just going to get to it. What minute mark are we on? 36. Okay, guys, I'm freshly back from Bristol. I was at Bristol this weekend covering the race. So basically, I have not had a time to fully rewatch Shane Van Gisbergen's race to get all my notes and everything ready to do. So I'm just going to do a rapid recap and kind of explain the rest of the year for you. If you didn't know, Shane Van Gisbergen has been eliminated from the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. The way it works is you got 3 races in the first round. All your wins that you picked up, you get 5 bonus points for. If you win a stage, you get 1 bonus point. SVG heading into this round had 22 bonus points. And the way the playoffs started off with everyone else in their bonus points, SVG had plus 16. Well, Darlington did not go their way, as he described it. I'm going to edit something in there. Just trust me. Well, then they go to Gateway. They have some alternate strategies. They try some different things. They spin out once, and they try to get stage points at one point, but they ultimately have a poor result. So now, after entering that Gateway race plus 3, they leave minus 15. Bristol, the cutoff race. If you remember, Shane Van Gisbergen struggled mightily at this track in the spring. He qualified 36th. He finished 38th. There was a crash somewhere in there. Never made any progress in this race. This was the spring Bristol race. Might have been his worst race of the year, if I remember correctly. Nothing went right for him in that race. No speed. SVG's first race in a Cup car at Bristol. Did not figure it out that race, safe to say. And the wreck. So now coming into this elimination race at Bristol, you have to make up 15 points, whether it's stage points or making up 15 positions on Austin Cindric. It was a long shot coming in. It's a track, as I said, he struggled at in the spring. You got to do a lot. 15 points is a lot of points, and you got to beat Austin Cindric, who's in a Penske car. Now, obviously, looking at the finishing results, hindsight's 2020. Ultimately, it just didn't come together. And once again, SVG struggled at Bristol. This race ended up being a very, very odd race. I'm going to try to simplify this the best I can for you new fans who don't watch that much NASCAR or just watching for Shane Van Gisbergen. But Bristol in the last 2 years has been an anomaly. Back in the spring of 2024, NASCAR shows up to Bristol Motor Speedway. We race at Bristol Motor Speedway expecting a normal Bristol race, which is you don't make a lot of green flag pit stops at Bristol because it's a short track. There's usually a lot of cautions, and there's just no need. You don't need to pit for fuel a lot. There's no fuel mileage in these races, and the tires don't fall off hard enough. Well, this spring 2024 Bristol race had the oddest thing. In a 500-lap race at this half-mile short track, which, hold on, I forgot to do the conversion. 0.5 miles to km equals 0.8 kilometers. The tires were shredding. That is not an exaggeration. They were shredding in the spring of 2024. Drivers were pitting every 50 or so laps. That is not normal for Bristol. It's not supposed to happen. It was a very odd situation. It was some weird combination of like the chemicals that they put down on the track, this sticky stuff called PJ1 or resin. I don't even remember what they put on the track. The tire compound itself and the temperature in the air somehow mixed for this perfect storm where tires were shredding. Usually the track takes rubber and you're able to kind of run up the track and it kind of spreads everything out, and the track didn't take rubber and it was just chunking the tires. You could literally see on the outside wall chunks of tire that were shredding off of the car. Now the tires were not popping. They were not blowing out. They were not causing crashes. They were wearing at such a rapid pace that you had to pit every 50 or so laps. Well, then we come back in the fall of 2024, and everyone's expecting this again, or maybe not expecting it, but everyone knows it could happen now, that this shredding tire could happen. Well, guess what? It didn't happen. Kyle Larson led like 450 out of 500 laps. I don't even know if we had green flag stops. I don't even know if the tire wore. Like, it was a boring race. So now we come back in the spring of 2025, and we're like, okay, 1 year ago we had the crazy tire shredding. Last time we were here, we had nothing. What's going to happen? Well, in practice in the spring, we had the crazy shredding tires. Practice, everyone's now anticipating this crazy tire shred to happen. Well, then we get to the race, nothing happens. The tires don't shred. Nobody knows. Temperature, chemicals, compound. So now we come back to Bristol here in the fall of 2025. And we have a new right side tire. It's a softer right side tire. What's going to happen? Well, we did the opposite of the spring. We came into practice, and after practice, the tires didn't wear much. They didn't shred. There was a little bit of fall off, but it took a long time for that fall off to happen. Well, then we get to the race. The tire shredding is back. We're pitting at lap 30 of this race because the tires are just shredding. They're cording like it's I don't even know how to describe it. So, you know, when you look at Shane Van Gisbergen heading into this race, he's on an oval. He has never experienced anything like this. I think in his post-race interviews, he had referenced that he's had some crazy tire fall off in some supercars races, but on an oval, he has never had something to this extent. I think that's safe to say. So I feel like from an outsider view, this is like a completely different tire management race. You know, usually when you look at the road courses for Shane Van Gisbergen, like it's about managing those rear tires. You don't blow them off, you know, accelerating, punching it off the corners. I guess it's the same, but also it's the right front that takes a lot of heat because the banking, Bristol is a 33-degree bank track, I think. You're going really, really fast. You got a tight turn radius. So the right front is just taking the brunt of everything, and they shred a lot, or they burn up a lot. And in this instance, they were shredding. So it's a completely different tire management thing you got to do. And SVG, the veteran he is, great at tire management. But ultimately, this race was chaotic. Not in terms of wrecking, not in terms of crazy strategies with fuel mileage or anything. It was crazy because the tires were shredding like every 50, 60 laps. What are you going to do? So I think I explained that a little bit more than I needed to. I might have complicated it. If I did, let me know in the comments and I'll try to simplify it to what I can do. But SVG is suddenly in this tire management race, and the problem with it is at Bristol, if you pit under the green flag and you catch a caution at the wrong time, you're 2 laps down. And that could be your day, and that's ultimately what happened. Now, SVG was not the only person pitting under green flag. Here's a stat from the race for you. Every single driver in this field, from winner Christopher Bell down to last place Josh Berry, was 1 lap down at one point in this race. Every single driver had to pit for tires on a green flag stop multiple times. That's how chaotic these tires were at this race. Now, it made for a fantastic race, but ultimately, as I said, SVG catches a caution at the wrong time. They go multiple laps down, and he spins out twice. One time, and here's another part of the chaos, is that when you're at Bristol, it's tight quarters. Like, it's a half-mile racetrack. There's 40 cars out there. Everyone has to run on the bottom because when these tires are shredding, you can't run up top because the track is not taking rubber. You can't run up there. You can't run on the wall. You can't run up really high. Like, you just can't. So everyone has to run on the bottom. You're bump and running people. We've talked about bump and runs before. In fact, on Saturday night, I saw SVG bump and run some people. He's getting this NASCAR thing under his belt. But sometimes when you're slow and you have old tires and people are trying to get by you, they're going to try to bump and run you, and sometimes it goes wrong. That happened twice. William Byron bump and ran Shane Van Gisbergen, or he tried to, and he spun SVG out. The other time, SVG seemed to take some of the blame for it, but what it looked like on TV, it looked like Ty Dillon just kind of dumped him, but maybe SVG was, I don't know. On the radio, it sounded like he was taking the blame for it, like he messed up. I can't tell. It very well could have been he hit the brakes really early, locked it up, and then Ty Dillon just finished him off. I don't know. But SVG spun twice, ends up finishing this race 3 laps down, finishes 26th in the race, and ultimately he is eliminated from the playoffs. If we come over to this playoff grid, as you can see, no Shane Van Gisbergen. So ultimately, the tire shredding made this race chaotic. It made it really fun. So if you have a chance, I know if you're an SVG fan, it's not the greatest experience for you, but it was a great race. You should go watch the highlights, go rewatch the race. But currently, he is 15th in the points. He is only a couple behind Austin Dillon, only 6 behind Alex Bowman. Points reset for the 12 that are still in. Technically, he can still finish as high as 5th in the standings and as low as 16th. So, yeah, he'll finish from 5th to 16th. So, we'll do more of a breakdown at the end of the season of his full rookie campaign once we have his final statistics. But ultimately, as of today, Shane Van Gisbergen eliminated from the NASCAR playoffs. Okay, thank you guys for letting me do that. I think that went longer than I wanted it to be. I only planned on doing like 5 minutes, and I ended up going 11. So that's my bad on that. I talked a little bit too long there. But just the Bristol, there was so much to explain. So anywho. Keanu, sorry. Hello. Trying to think what else we could. I mean, Truck Series. I mean, Layne Riggs was so good that night. Corey Heim obviously led a lot of laps. I mean, those two might have been the only two to lead laps. Jake Garcia led some. Oh, yeah, Jake Garcia. Didn't he win stage 1? I think he won stage 1. So I think one of the biggest things was the whole Ankrum and Honeycutt incident, but they talked it out on pit road. They shook hands, so it's really not that deep. But yeah, Honeycutt did spin out Ankrum, and it kind of solved itself. Looking at these results, I mean, we already talked about the playoff bubble. Good run for Perez. Good run for LaJoy. Connor Mozak up there. So really just a really solid job by these three. Hey, Matt Crafton. His last race at Bristol gets a top 10. Good for him. Chandler Smith had problems. Their car went sour like in the first stage, like really early on. Didn't even have a chance at stage points. Jake Garcia, as I said, he won a stage. They had power steering issues. Really unfortunate because it was like right after they won the stage is when the power steering went kaput. And, yeah. Got the fastest lap, though, so good for him. Unfortunately, not good for his playoff because he's still at minus 14. But, yeah, that's the Truck Series for you. Anyone else got anything? I apologize. I am a bit tired. I've been on the road the last week, so if I seem off. Yeah, Ben Rhodes. I mean, that's been we already knew that for a few. I think we talked about it after he missed, so don't really have anything else there. It's kind of old news, I guess. I mean, he had a great run last night, or Thursday night, though. Oh, Scottsdale's hosting the NASCAR Awards. I missed that today. Good for them. I guess it's the last year of Phoenix Championship for now. So that's cool. Good for them. Do we want to make Monday picks this early? Is it too early for that? Yes, as in you want to do it right now, Born Again Briar, or like yes, as in it's too early? Monday picks? Okay, that's a yes. All right. Did I have the entry list? I don't have the entry list yet. Entry list. Okay, here we go. So we have 2 races this weekend. Why? What? This is... Hello, entry list. Where are you? Entry list. NASCAR. Is your website working? Oh, you gotta be kidding me. All right, plan B. Bob Pockers will have it on Twitter, I'm sure. Aha, he does. Perfect. So here we go. Entry list for trucks. There you go. So we got Brent Cruz in the 1 truck. We got... I hope this is for this week. Yeah, it's New Hampshire. Let's see. Norm Benning in the race. Patrick Emmerling's in the 7 truck. Christian Eckes is in the 16 truck? Really? Huh. Neat. Mason Massey. Tyler Tomasi. I think. So the 97 has withdrawn, so no Carson Coapel. Yeah, there you go. LaJoy's in the 77. All right, Monday picks for trucks. Let's hear them. Born Again Briar's going with Raja. I Love the Playoffs is going with Honeycutt. Anyone else? Trucks. Pastel Ninja K is going to go with Riggs. Cash.gg, Dawson Sutton. Denver says, dumb guess, Heim. Yeah, Denver, that's an idiotic guess. I can't believe you picked Corey Heim to win a truck race. Like, oh, no one, ever. David says Chandler Smith. All right, speaking of, make your picks on eliminations. Who are the 2 that get eliminated this week from trucks? I'm going to go with Chandler Smith and Garcia. I think Chandler Smith could win this race. I just don't see it happening. It's possible. I just am not picking it. So David, I guess I'm going into your pick there. Norberto says Smith and Garcia the same. Pastel Ninja K says Garcia and Raja. Wow. Garcia and Smith says Born Again Briar. Okay, we're on the same page there. All right, my truck win pick. I'm gonna go with. I'm just like Denver. I'm gonna have a dumb guess, and I'm gonna go with Corey Heim. Such a dumb guess, man. Hamlin tonight says Honeycutt and Smith are the eliminations. Ooh, so that means Garcia would make up points or win. That's kind of exciting. All right, let's get this cup entry list on here. Here you go. All right. Cup Series. We got no notable entries this week, actually. 36 car field, a rare week of that in 2025. I guess we could look at the sponsors. Kubota's on the 1. Toys for Tots on the 3. Morgan and Morgan on the 8. Progressive on the 11. McDonald's on the 23. Family Dollar on the 43. Gainbridge on the 71. Jockey Infinite Cool Underwear on the 88. Choice Privileges on the 99. David says, Christopher Bell, no questions. Hamlin tonight says going with Buescher. David also says Kyle Busch. Is that like your long shot or something? Pastel Ninja K says Christopher Bell. Born Again Breyer says Buescher. Anyone else? Cup Series picks for New Hampshire. John says Denny Hamlin. Okay. He's got a great shot. Gamer Garrett Sucks says Hamlin. So we got a couple Hamlins, we got a couple Bells, we got a couple Buschers. Sheldon Creed 00 says McDowell. Hey man, remember when McDowell almost won Texas? That was kind of crazy. Paulie says Hocevar. Denver says SVG the Smoky pick. Don't really know what that means, but all right, that's a super duper long shot, I'll tell you that much. Go back offline says Herbst. TP says Denny. Don Roblox says Bowman. That would be like the most crushing win ever. Wins 1 week too late to get into the playoffs. Or the round of 12 or whatever we want to call it. All right, I'm going to go boring. I've said this throughout my playoff predictions. Christopher Bell at New Hampshire is like SVG at a road course at this point. Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell won 3 in a row early in the year. Could you imagine if he wins 3 in a row late in the year, like he wins Bristol, New Hampshire, and Kansas? It's very possible. New Hampshire, he owns New Hampshire, and then Kansas, JGR Toyota is always really good there. He's got like 3 or 4 poles there. Like, hey, you never know. You never know. Anywho, I know this was a short Monday after, but I've been traveling, so I gotta admit I'm a little beat. So I'll work on that SVG recap for Bristol. He's out of the playoffs, but I'll still do him every week because he's got new tracks that he's going to. So as Denver said, it's a breaking track, SVG style track. You never know what he could do at New Hampshire, but he's still looking for that first oval top 10. There you go. So thank you guys for watching. Once again, apologies this wasn't as long, but as I said, man, I'm beat. I need sleep. So we'll see you guys for whatever other news happens. Then we got New Hampshire this week. So, yeah, it'll be exciting. It'll be fun, and